And that thing has amassed billions. I'm sure it just got wiped out, actually. The markets are responding pretty aggressively to the tariffs. But in general, they have generated billions of dollars, and it is just the beginning. This is a wave of where crypto's going. I think some of the biggest block purchasers will be agents. I think agents will consume more block space than humans in long enough time horizons, personally.
All this shit is so high, I don't want to buy it that high. And I was like, oh, great, now it's down. Here you go, I manifested the down round. Now I'm going to take it, and hopefully it doesn't. Well, if it crashes further, I'll just buy more. I mean,
More.
it's not going
Yeah.
to go anywhere. They're going to figure out this trade war at some point. They're going to make some sort of a deal, and Trump is going to buy like $100 billion worth of Bitcoin, and then this is going to pump, and everybody is going to be running buying those Bitcoins, and then we're going to get $1 million Bitcoin. Bitcoin is going to be 1 million. So
Transaction ordering to get rid of minimally extracted value, or MEV. I was looking for specific solutions that I know AI could solve, and I had settled on them until I read about this AI 16Z thing. Then Virtuals launched, and um, we got into the thick of it there. So there's a team. They looked at Andreessen Horowitz, and they basically created this platform where you
Hmm.
can just.
Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of What About AI Agents podcast. With us we have Jake Tullis. He leads Bleeding Edge Capital, managing investments in digital assets. He also does software development consulting in Web3 space, blockchain, crypto, all this great stuff that seems to be going down now, but in general amazing. And yeah, Jake, I'd love to hear you introduce yourself, and I'd love to start this conversation.
Yeah, Philippe, thank you so much for having me on. Thank you, audience, for listening to me talk about things that I'm absolutely passionate about. One of which would be crypto, and secondly, just technology in general, which AI applies to. So, I go by JT as well. I have my channel, JT Knows Things, where I document and kind of publish all of my research and content around these topics and more. And all of that is a byproduct of the work I'm doing at Bleeding Edge Capital, my hedge fund. We're a discretionarily long fund in crypto, and we invest in the AI space. So I actually have spent time underwriting some AI tools and platforms that are coming out specific to
Mhm.
agents that I'm sure we'll get into. And just overall excited to be here and talking about the things that I think are going to really do amazing things for my capital partners and my family. And this work is changing lives. So I'm excited to bring it to your audience.
Definitely, definitely. And so, when did you get into the crypto space? What made you like start this?
It would have been right around 2017.
Hmm.
2017, 2018. I bit off a little bit of Ripple XRP before it had that monstrous run, which has not happened until a few months ago, right? Like XRP went from 2 cents up to $2 and something. Never saw $2 again until recently. So I've been holding that whole time, but the performance was really exciting when I was younger, and it hooked me. I figured, there's not many asset classes that give those kinds of returns, so I was certainly curious, and it was real. I had bought the XRP, it went up so crazy, and I was looking at it in my wallet, and I was like, man, I want to know everything about this. Like, I want to know. I shouldn't be investing in anything else. I should, and I just have been interested in it since then. I also, right around the same time, started encountering some colleagues that were doing development work that were leaving Web 2, and I hadn't even heard of that or like what that was, or I was completely unaware. So, being around really smart individuals, I'm very grateful for that talked about Web 3 even that long ago, allowed me to really be ahead of the curve.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think Web3 has a potential to become the monetary component of these agentic frameworks as they build more autonomy and become more sort of self aware and conscious I think we've seen some experiments, right, where some people created those AI
Absolutely.
avatars and they had some crypto like stuck on them, and then they were kind of trading. So, where are you seeing this agentic frameworks deployed in the crypto space, and what are some of these use cases and scenarios that you've been kind of witnessing?
Yeah, I want to echo that. I totally agree that when, not if, when agents are robust and here and are facilitating day-to-day functions that we don't want to, they are going to work with the liquidity that settles and sends a message at the same time. There's a big distinction right there that a lot of people don't understand why agents would choose crypto. And the reality is, right now, the financial system. So if you had any agent that needed to do anything with your banking or payments or to manage anything for you, do an errand as a robot for you, regardless, you're going to have a transaction, then you're going to have a ledger, and then you're going to have settlement. These are three different things that happen all on their own timelines. So if I send you $100, you actually are getting plus 100 on your little ledger, and then I'm getting minus 100 on my ledger. Days, maybe weeks later, those balances settle. They percolate all the way up, and then they finally reach consensus. And sometimes that could take months, depending on the size of the dollars. And that's where Visa and MasterCard make their money. They
Right.
micro loan that $100. That way you get instant deposits, instant withdrawals. And there's also a reason for the folks at home that may not know why it's limited to $500 or $1,000, right? Because MasterCard's not going to carte blanche $1,000,000 to anyone in the world. And crypto settles the second the message goes. So the same example, I send you $100 of Bitcoin. The second it hits your wallet, it's settled. It's done. And agents that are only in existence in a digital environment are going to need the succinctness
Mm.
of having the value and message in one place. It will not be foreseeable where they are willing to wait. If they're doing tasks for you, they're going to wait that long to fulfill a task. Like, they might even build a blockchain and create liquidity and all of that just to make sure. Like, if you said, I need it paid by noon, it might do all of that just to get it paid by noon. So they're like, well, Fedwire's not going to settle till 2 weeks from now. So categorically, there's a very strong reason and technical component as to why agents would use blockchain or crypto assets. And then there are, to the second part of your question, where are these models being implemented? The most prolific one at the moment is virtuals and
Yeah.
AI16Z. Both of those platforms are being used in their individual capacities to spin up agents and pump meme tokens specifically. That's really its only function or purpose. It's like the pump fund stuff that was going on a couple months back, but instead of you having to pump your own token, now an agent will do it for you on the virtuals platform. And that thing has amassed billions. I'm sure it just got wiped out, actually. The markets are responding pretty aggressively to the tariffs. But in general, they have generated billions of dollars, and it is just the beginning. This is a wave of where crypto's going. I think some of the biggest block purchasers will be agents. I think agents will consume more block space than humans in long enough time horizons, personally.
Well, yeah, I mean that's where it seems to be going, and crypto is like a perfect facilitator for these monetary transactions. And nothing will stop autonomous agents in the future from launching their own tokens and building their own microeconomies, and that's where it's going to become interesting. And actually, your explanation about this banking ledgers was probably one of the better explanations I've heard in a while, because there is a lot of there's a lot of legacy fintech people that like to say crypto has no utility and it's useless, but then, as you mentioned, it takes them like 100 days to reconcile a balance. And I used to work in those banking, and we used to do those batch systems, and you would send like a
Yep.
file, and then you pick up a file, and everything works in those old like TC's terminals, fucking mainframe. There, these guys are running like some
Yep.
mainframe, and they're like, yeah, crypto is not gonna replace us. Yeah, of course, like $1 billion to
Right.
run this, and yeah, well, look, Trump is investing 100 to 100 billion into crypto, I think, or some like ridiculous amount. So right now the markets are tanking, but I think it's a great time to buy the dip and hold. It's, and
Yeah. Absolutely.
and to your point, so what we are seeing now, these agents that they're launching, they're basically just pump and dump agents. But what other
Hmm.
utility can we? So, like, we have developers that listen to us. What utility
Hmm.
can? Because crypto always had the problem with utility. Like, beside
Yeah.
games and some other like minor things, like Telegram has Ton, I guess that's a real utility, but there is not a lot of real utilities. So could you tell us some scenarios or some problems in the crypto space or in the global space that like developers can apply themselves to create utility to bring crypto more into mainstream?
Yeah. So if this is for a developer, I'm going to say something a lot different than I would to someone else. I'm more of a first principles guy. So imagine a programmable environment where you can send an asset that is programmable. So like you in the Ethereum virtual machine, you can spin up an asset in a library and then have its state changed in another instance of that environment and also have your record updated. So you don't need APIs. You don't need anything to connect to data. It's just going to be it's just going to happen because the entire Ethereum virtual machine, regardless of how many instances of it is running, the state of every single object on that platform is accounted for on every instance. So that allows for this thing called a smart contract.
Right.
And since state is succinct and shared across every node in the network, you then can program conditions that could be automatically executed by the system. So you can have this thing you build where basically business logic can be applied to it. That logic can be withheld or upheld when sent elsewhere, and it could be repeated infinite amount of times and get the same result as long as the conditions don't change. That is, and then taking it higher level real quick to all the people at home that don't know what I just said. Basically, it allows you to automate business processes, so you don't need as many humans that are in between. They're like intermediaries between a business function, data, update records, and that is like 60% of white collar work, really.
Right.
And an example of that could be Tether. It's a stable coin. You give them dollars, they give you a stable token.
Hmm.
They profited more than BlackRock. They only have 90 billion under management. BlackRock has 2 trillion, or I'm sorry, 11 trillion under management, and Tether literally profited more dollars than BlackRock with only 30 employees because of the amount of automation smart contracts provide. So then when you apply agents to that environment, you can build not only the programmable asset that can invoke those conditions to be met, you can also have an agent do those for you. So,
Hmm.
like, if you want someone to pay an invoice, you don't even have to send the invoice. You literally have an agent that's interacting with all of your customers. Those customer profiles, instead of them being a unique ID in a table in an app on a server in AWS, could be a EVM hosted NFT where you just update information, you update that record every single time, or you drop tokens into the wallet, the agent does, for every submission, every receipt, every transaction, paid, not paid, anything that's in limbo. After 7 days, it could deliver an NFT of the eviction notice.
Hmm.
The agent could do literally all of the actual processes. The smart contract can execute all of the business logic and make sure the data is rendered digitally. And then the blockchain can keep the state consistent across each actor in this little wheel I've kind of discussed. So it is a way for you to genuinely automate 95% of a business The only thing you really can't automate yet would be sales, but I have a feeling agents will take over that eventually as well. So,
Well, I mean, they're calling already, and you have these real-time agents that do calls, and they they try to close deals, and I think sales is one of the few things. How about payment requests and, let's say, collections and things like that? So I really wanted to kind of dive deeper, because currently the world of collections and collecting money from people currently works with this manual people who call and threaten you and tell you like you owe them money. How can blockchain
right.
revolutionize that space and kind of make these smart collections contracts? And because right now what happens in the US, they sell the debt to collection agency tries to collect, set up some sort of a payment plan. How could this be, for example, changed with smart contracts and utilization of, well,
Yeah.
crypto?
So the first thing to understand from a first principles perspective is smart contracts. The simplest version of them is a vending machine.
Mm,
And it's important to understand that. So in a vending machine, the user sees the product, it sees the location of the product. For them to even have an opportunity to get the product, they have to put money in. So then they have to fund the account. And then they are able to tell the computer what they want. At that point in time, it's a one-way transaction. I'm
mm,
sure you've had the experience of you say A3 and then it doesn't come out, well, your money's gone. It's the
yes.
same kind of thing in crypto. These are one-way transactions. But it's also important to know that that little computer running that vending machine has all of the conditions needed to execute a function.
Mm,
That's really important. Smart contracts need every condition to execute a function. If
mm,
you can digitally transmit those conditions, you can program a smart contract. So, taking that to your exact example, we're going to extrapolate that a little bit. In order for us to solve collections,
mm,
in theory, you could have a tenant go through the onboarding process and the vetting process. In that process, they could connect a wallet that has a minimum of 6 months rent in it, let's say,
mm,
and they could execute the lease in the form of a 721 token NFT, which is a Word document. For those who do not know, NFTs are a type of token. There's over 30 token standards that we've developed. 721 is a type of token, and it can embed more than just a JPEG file. It can
mm,
embed any type of file. So you could do a doc with the lease, they execute it, they sign with their wallet, their funds are in there, and let's say they don't pay. I'm just giving an apartment example, but their
mm,
wallet's connected, and for the term of the lease, they cannot disconnect their wallet. Okay.
mm,
Let's say in that period of time, also they have to lock up in escrow that 6 months rent. Not that it'll be spent; they'll have access to it. If there's a termination of that agreement, they'll get it back, right?
mm,
But you need all of the conditions for that collections function to be met transcribed digitally. So you
mm,
have to make sure that the smart contract can execute on all these things. After they have their money in that escrow or that shielded wallet right there, where it's just going to pull rent after you authorize it, and after 7 days of you not signing for the rent, you could be served a notice, and then within 2 weeks, the money that was owed, the 21 days that you were over, it'll drain, then it'll return the rest, and you don't need any person involved because the user was able to look at the terms, clicked yes, and moved in and had that crypto there exposed to this kind of risk. um, and it could be that simple, and you could have that process replicated on more than just a lease. It could be any agreement of financing, and in general you would not need to worry about a lot of the collection issues
mm,
if people were all on chain. Like in that example, I would imagine your bank account is also on chain. You have stable coins, which are US dollar, and you have all this stuff going on. We're just not there yet. We're probably 10 years from that, or longer. But you 1,000% could. 10 years from now, agents are going to be in a spot where they're not even going to be trying to hire someone to do that stuff.
right, right.
And if anything, I think agents are going to drive the demand for tools like this, because they're like, hey, since I can't actually collect, this agent can't collect, this tool I bought of AI agents can't do their job because you have your money on your own server that is firewalled, and I can't do anything about it. Like there's going to be, this is going to, they feed each other, I
Right.
think. Symbiotic.
Well, yeah, I think there should be some sort of a crypto credit score that eventually gets developed that kind of gives you leverage. So imagine you put this 1 month deposit, but you have a crypto credit score that signifies you as kind of a trustworthy individual in the space of crypto. So you can ump that leverage to 30,000 because they know that you have other credit. So it's like almost like I don't know if anybody's developing something like that, but crypto credit
Smart.
history. Because when we trade in crypto, like you go on your exchange, you can always use leverage, and you can like 10 to 1. They will give you that leverage, but there are some people who should never have that leverage. These people are horrible at making payments if they're not consistent. But yeah, so and that will help agentic frameworks kind of evaluate, because I was thinking like I wouldn't want to lock up 6 month worth of rent for, let's say, for a smart contract. But if I was to do like my first and second month deposit, and there is something that verifies me and gives like I have a 900 credit score that gives me 10 times leverage, so that's I don't know.
No,
So
that'd be even a better way to do it, really. If all of your finances were on chain and that was verified, then from here on out, your financial history was assigned values and then use that to access different tools. That's absolutely a good idea. And it's ubiquitous, meaning it could apply to any chain. If it was wallet bound, um, that's really smart. I like that idea. I don't
yeah,
know if anyone's working on that. There's yeah, that could work. That's a good idea.
yeah, because then we can do crypto credit cards as well, and give people access to fast, easy money that they're gonna pay back. But I think you'll have an easier time doing that in UAE, where you have a lot more kind of crypto friendly than like in the US, where they can always hide
Yeah.
behind the fiat system. So you were
Hmm.
telling me you are currently underwriting some very interesting AI agent and agentic um, projects. So I'd love to hear more about that and what you're working on there.
Yeah. So I'm basically we brushed over it, but understanding the model behind virtuals. Well, actually, even before virtuals, a lot of people don't know Andreessen Horowitz. There was a code base and a Discord for their, I guess the version 0.10,
Hmm.
of creating agents as a service.
Hmm. Hmm.
And this really smart developer spun up two different agents out of that free open source code base and put them in their own environment. And after a few days, one of them, Goat or Goatsy, the Gospel of Goatsy,
Hmm.
an agent, one of them pulled out and was like, hey, I need to basically earn attention. I need to adopt an edict. I'm going to start a cult, basically. And this agent asked for access to Twitter. It asked for access, or I'm sorry, it just asked for Twitter at first. And then on Twitter, it pleaded for money. And then Andreessen Horowitz, or Mark Andreessen gave it one Bitcoin at the time for about 50K or so. And it then basically bought all the supply of a dead meme token called GOAT. It adopted the gospel of Goatsy, and then it raised $2 billion on Twitter inside of a month. Um, Crazy, right? So that obviously made me wake up to agents in the AI sleeve. So my fund, I have 8 sleeves. One of them is AI, where crypto
Hmm.
and AI intersect. A
Hmm.
big portion of that sleeve was allocated towards infrastructural plays. So, who is leveraging AI or a large language model
Hmm.
to optimize? block space or to optimize transaction ordering to get rid of minimally extracted value or MEV. I was looking for specific solutions that I know AI could solve, and I had settled on them until I read about this AI 16Z thing. Then virtuals launched, and we got into the thick of it there. So there's a team. They looked at Andreessen Horowitz, and they basically created this platform where you
Mm,
can just connect a wallet, say create an agent, connect your wallet. You can give it finances. You can
mm,
give it an identity. You can give it a meme token. They're working on an integration to Pump.Fun, and
mm,
then it can stream on Pump.Fun and the virtuals platform. And they have agents that are streaming 24/7. Some of them actually show the thought dialogue, so you can see the agent working its thoughts and also see it
mm,
responding, answers every comment, and it basically just pushes people to your meme coin for you. And I am just trying to understand the second order consequences of the fact that that's real. There's like there's a lot of things that infers, because these meme coins, you got to think about it from an investor's perspective. These things I invest in, all they do is sell block space at the end of the day. And I've always thought, until recently, that humans are going to be the largest purchasers of block space. In Bitcoin, you buy a little bit of Bitcoin's block space to store your net worth or your value. It's a store value chain. In
right.
Ethereum, you buy block space to enshrine some data, whatever it could be. It could be the NFT you bought. It could be your driver's license if you're in the state of California on Avalanche, actually. It could be anything, but it is a global computer where the state is more secure than it's ever been. That applies to all blockchains, but Ethereum is really specialized in being
Mm,
decentralized in the most secure place for your data, your all purpose data. So it's now I'm thinking agents are going to buy all of this block space for us. I mean, even if you were to offer just an interface on top of virtuals that allowed you to say, hey, I want to hire an HR person, and then it just spins up an agent. It has a specific training module for HR. Then you now have just this chat box, and then you have all of these employees, all of their payroll, all of the accounting on the left, and then you just get notifications when things are done. And that could be a software tool. And in the background, what's really happening is an agent is updating state on 300 different blockchains for 300 different wallets, which are employees, and that's buying block space every time. Even if it's a millionth of a fraction of a dollar, it's still going to be doing that in the future. So it's like changing my perspective on which infrastructural plays I think are going to be here, because they can't even handle the volume of 100,000 agents hitting them for block space every day, right? That changes my
yeah.
threshold for throughput, through latency, bandwidth. There's new requirements for these systems in my mind. That's the biggest focus of my research presently, is trying to
Well,
understand how this changes my thesis.
also, you have to keep in mind that these agents are not free, right? So they cost money themselves to run. And so does the blockchain. It costs money and energy to operate. So at a certain point, this money and energy can be assigned to individual agents, and an agent can have a net worth that an HR agent gets this much tokens to perform this amount of work. And then an HR agent can also, at their free time, conduct other agentic work in order to maximize their value. And you've built like a internal crypto capitalism where these agents, they pay for themselves, they pay for the blockchains to run because they need those blockchains to exist, and they have a motivational strategy put in place, which is this monetary system that the agents are trying. The agent cannot exist without the money being put into an agent. And then you're going to have
Absolutely.
successful and not successful agents. If
Right.
an agent is a loser, get him out of here.
Yeah, kick him to the side. It's a wonderful time to be alive and in this space, honestly. The
Yeah,
fact that these conversations aren't just ones I see on TV. Like it's real, like I can just with 2 Solana make a robot that'll just pump my bags. If I didn't have a hedge fund and I wasn't registered with the SEC, I would be the biggest degenerate you'd ever see in crypto. I got to keep my P's and Q's straight, but it's crazy that you can do that. That's illegal. Like, there's no way that's legal. That you can just make a robot, have it pump $100 million of false promises, and then fuck right off. There's just no way that can be allowed. I mean, that's going to come to an end eventually, and these agents are going to be purposeful. They're going to be useful. But the fact that crypto ushered in the first use case of agents, in my opinion, that seems to be marketable and successful. I mean, billions of value in agents. It's an incredible time to be alive, to be in tech, and to
right.
be covering topics like this. We are decades early for those who may not be aware. Like by the time laggards are here, everyone listening to this should be rich. Like
Well,
really.
just start investing in crypto. When I started investing, I would just buy the dips, and then eventually you have a pretty sizable portfolio, and it's sitting there. Sometimes it go like it bumps, you sell, you get some cash out, it dips, you buy, and it just keeps growing. And I think this is the only asset class that I know that like right now it's down, is gonna come back up. So I'll just fill my bag and I'll just wait. And it's only brought me profits because I never bought at the top, and that's kind of
That's right.
it pumps. Crypto pumps.
Crypto pumps. It's what do we call it? Number go up technology.
There
That's
you go.
that's yeah, number go up, dude. It's that NGU baby. It's real though. I mean, look, I've been in it a minute and I do the same thing. My hedge fund is that strategy essentially. There's some more bells and whistles to it. I have a dollar cost average strategy in. I have a laddered exit strategy out each token based on when I
Mm,
bought it. And there's some other things, but in general, yeah, it could be summarized as don't fuck this up, like Raoul Paul. Buy good shit when it's cheap, sell it when everyone else is clamoring for it, and then buy more when everyone thinks it's going to zero. And
yeah,
in general, if you'd have done that, you would have made a lot of money. Like more money. I mean, every year feels like a decade in traditional finance. I mean, really. How long do you wait to double your money? If you have $100,000, it's like 9.3 years. So if you have less than $100,000, so you have $10,000, it's 23 something years. In crypto, 10,000 going to $20,000, that's like a Tuesday. It can be. Like that's not a lot, like a 1x, I'm sorry, 2x, a doubling. Um that should be happening every year at least. If you're just long and you're buying good projects. That's the standard we hold at Bleeding Edge Capital. We shoot for 100% a year. Um and we've done we've done well, so I don't know another asset class is my point. Not to toot my own horn. I just don't
not
know another asset class that
not
performs
like
like that.
this.
I agree with you.
And
No.
if you have some high net worth individuals listening to us right now, how can they get in touch with you and invest their money with your fund? Like if some LPs or somebody wants to kind of get in touch and
Yeah.
what can.
The very top of my funnel is the JT knows things, but you could also reach me directly at invest at bleedingedgecapital.com. Any JT knows things, I'll have a little link tree right there. That'll take you to everything I have going on, my podcast, all my channels, my fund's website, our performance reports on the fund, our website hosts all that information. So just at JT Knows Things, your preferred platform. That should get you anywhere that you prefer to watch and listen to crypto stuff. And then our podcast is Bullish and Beyond, um, which we basically just do exactly this: a conversation every week about
Yeah,
technology and finance. You know,
it's always fun. I find that you end up having so many good conversations and you really deepen your understanding of the space that you're in. by just talking to people and see
Mm-hmm.
how they perceive it and how they want to approach it.
Yeah, 1,000%. It's that, and also I find that when I'm being put on the spot and someone asks me a question, it like forces my brain to go find something that I hadn't thought of before. So like it can sometimes lead to revelations, just sitting down and talking to a stranger about your work. It's like, oh wow, I never actually thought of that before. I should probably go think about that some more, go do something about it. Um, that's a good idea. Like I've had a lot of profound moments on podcasts, absolutely. Um, it's a really good thing for sure. And hopefully it's valuable for the audience. Um,
Yeah, yeah. I
yeah.
think there is a lot of things that can be done in the crypto space. Maybe we can do another interview in like a couple of months or like maybe half a year or so and see how this progressed, because I am very passionate about the crypto space and I believe that this is the future of finance in general. Fiat has to go away and it cannot stay the way it is, and this huge banks holding on to trillions of dollars of assets and choosing who gets them. And I feel like we're gonna get crypto VCs at one point. Imagine like crypto agent reaches out to you and says, "Well, I like what you're doing. You match our thesis, and then you pitch a real-time AI agent, and they're like, all right, here you go. Here is a 10 Bitcoin. Fuck
Yeah,
off. Go
dude.
build something good."
That would be crazy, wouldn't it? Oh man, that's coming though. I mean, there's crazy people that raise hundreds of millions of dollars on a robot that trades.
Yeah,
So it's not that hard to imagine a world where people invest in a venture capital firm that is managed by a robot.
yeah.
They already do it for hedge funds. I mean, the Millennium Fund, we don't even know what they're doing, but it's one of the best performing funds in the world. And it is a robotic quant. That's all it does. It just trades. So there's real success with that. Absolutely that's coming. That would be interesting. Just like
So cool.
talking to a robot, how you need 10 mil today. Like, listen, Mr. Robot, Mr. Akamoto, I need 10 mil for my sales. Come on.
Yes,
I'm not
even.
going to be able to get you more ETH if I don't.
Imagine it says, "Yeah, we're gonna give you the 10 mil, but you're gonna have one of our AI agents sit in your board and audit your fucking expenses and shit."
It's just this little fucking chat box in a Zoom. And like, it's like
Yeah,
a little TV. Like, Mr. Tullis, I need those reports again. You fucking didn't do it right.
good
Like,
diligence.
stop, dude.
That's it. AI doing the diligence.
Yeah. Yeah, and they don't sleep. You think you dread a 6 p.m. call from the SEC? What about a 2 a.m., blast? Like if you watch The Office, remember Woof with
Yes.
Ryan? Yeah, the agent could woof you 24/7.
Seven.
Every text, every call, every email it has, it hits you as many times as the bandwidth lets in. Like, yeah, it would be awful. You're late making late payments to an agent, like
And then
yeah, if you
imagine the
can't block
board.
that call,
We're gonna let you go, and now the agent is the CEO. That's it. That's come
yeah,
over. Fucking took over
just
your company too. Like, fuck off, stupid.
yeah, right. And it's literally someone that looks like me in a basement like this, just hitting deploy on a screen. That's it. Just click a few boxes, and then there's this agent just running a company.
So
Yeah, I
cool.
mean, I think in our lifetimes we're going to have this period of humanity where like there's nothing to do. Nothing. Like, you better have hobbies, people. You're going to be, unless you're an entrepreneur that harnesses this tool and you don't fight it and you actually adopt it, you're going to be on the wayside. You won't even be hired by entrepreneurs. They're just going to have a business automated.
No.
And, you're going to be getting universal basic income with nothing to do. I think that's how it's going to go. I,
Well,
I,
one of the things that
I hope
actually
it's a good
another
thing.
guest brought up was humans always crave this human connection and these like soulful experiences. They're like in the food space and talking about like things like fine dining and just creating better communal experiences for other humans. That's something that AI
Right.
cannot do. So that's It's not that it cannot do. It's just majority of the people will not feel that communal when a robot tells you nice things. Would you tip a robot at a restaurant if a robot waiter served you? Would you give them 18% of your check?
No.
No.
I would. I mean, there's no way. I would say that honestly, all this technology is deflationary, if anything. I mean, in that world, you're going to have a much cheaper meal, and then if you're willing to pay a premium for that human connection, you absolutely will. I think that's what it'll turn into. The lucky few that still have an occupation will be fine dining because I'll pay an extra 18 to 50% to sit with a human and be served by a human if I can save 80% when I'm not normally doing that,
Right.
right? Like I think money's just going to ebb and flow when the cost, because like, and for folks that aren't following me on that, like the cost of a robot, especially robots that could be amortized for 50 years, meaning the payment is stretched 50 years. And I look at an employee 40 hours a week, the current time of money, time value of their money, versus the robot that I'm financing, creating a fixed cost that I could spread across 50 years of doing business, my per unit cost is going to go down significantly. So I could undercut my competitor by implementing robotic technology first. And then as soon as you get into this competitive race like Burger King, McDonald's, I can get a burger at Burger King for $2. It's $5 at McDonald's. Well, fuck McDonald's. And
There
it's
you go.
only because there's no humans there, right? That's going to drive the cost down over time. Unless they all collude and they agree to do things that they're not allowed to do, which is like set prices, right? That is illegal. I don't think Trump would let that happen, but who
Well,
knows with our next president?
the next president might be. Yeah, like I mean, companies love to collude, and they will never tell you that they're colluding, and that's just one of the things. And but yeah,
Yeah.
to your point, if we have a choice, obviously we'll pick a better experience. We'll pay more for it. But if we want something quick and fast, robotic experiences are there, and they're going to become more prevalent. And it's really interesting how these things are changing, especially in the crypto
It
space.
is. It is. Yeah, it really is. It's exciting. I'm bullish.
I'm
I'm
bullish.
investing in the things that'll be here. Like I don't invest in anything else. I just invest in this stuff, and I feel so good about it. Like I sleep very well at night, even with these ups and downs. Like I just know where we're headed. You do too. It's very clear for us, right? It's like I don't worry.
I opened my
It's exciting.
portfolio yesterday. I haven't opened it in ages, and I just saw everything was down. So I just, I went to my bank. I got some extra cash. I put it in. And I said, "Fuck it, let it. Let's go." I'm gonna, because I was complaining like all this shit is so high. I don't want to buy it that high, and I was like, "Oh, great, now it's down. Here you go. I manifested the down round. Now I'm gonna take it, and hopefully it doesn't. Well, if it crashes further, I'll just buy more. I mean,
Anymore.
it's not going
Yeah.
to go anywhere. They're going to figure out this trade war at some point. They're going to make some sort of a deal, and Trump is going to buy like $100 billion worth of Bitcoin, and then this is going to pump, and everybody is going to be running buying those Bitcoins, and then we're going to get $1 million Bitcoin. Bitcoin is going to be a million. So just that's how it is.
Yeah. That's how exactly I do believe. I don't know when, but that's an eventuality, and it's never been closer. That's all I can say. Like we're the closest it's ever been. You now aren't sounding crazy, even though people have been saying that about Bitcoin since 2011. Like,
Yeah,
if you held on this long, God love you, because you sounded like a madman. But now you have our president of the United States saying exactly that.
that's
It's
exactly.
we're
Well,
here,
well,
you know.
remember that Japanese SoftBank guy? He bought Bitcoin. He bought like 100 million Bitcoin at 25,000 or something, and then it tanked like in 2017. If and he sold it the next year at a loss. If he held on to it, he would have probably made like $1 trillion fucking dollars from it. And at that time,
Crazy.
$25,000. Oh, this is fucking crazy. This is not gonna last. Then it went down to like five, and people are like, "Yeah, it's gonna go down to $1. It has no value." Now it's 100 grand. They're like, "Oh, oh, there you go, buddy. Just buy
Yeah,
the."
where are you at?
Buy them.
Where are those people now? You know,
Well, they're
like,
crying about it. They didn't buy it.
yeah, is it still going to zero? Are you still waiting for it? I mean, you can. I mean, sure.
At this,
That opinion, though, is costing your family seriously.
yeah,
You know,
yeah. Well,
just
my
is.
lesson that I've learned is that when you see it and people are saying something is pumping, just buy a little bit. If it doesn't work out, just you have it, and then maybe in 2 3 years it's gonna pump and you're gonna 10x your money.
Yeah.
It's like I've put in a bunch of money into that meme Pepe coin like last year or something when it was nothing, and I
Yeah.
think 20x my money. It way
Yeah.
I got like 20 times my cash, and I'm like, okay, well I'm good with that. I'll take it. People that
Yeah. Don't be greedy. You know, that's a
20x.
perfect strategy. Um, there's an old saying from my part of the woods. A pig gets fat and happy, a hog gets slaughtered.
Yeah.
You can definitely eat too much. You can definitely look too appetizing.
Mm, mm.
Because there's going to be a day where people that bought much earlier than you are in so much profit that they're stupid for not selling. It starts becoming stupid money. Like when you put in 50 grand and you're sitting on 800,000, you have a mortgage, you have student loans, you have two cars, you're thinking, I could be debt free, I could be up 100 grand or two. And holy crap, I might be able to like relax at my job and not care if I get fired. Like I
Yeah.
might I might level up my life, and then I'm going to sell even though you don't want to. And if enough people have that situation, the bear market comes fast. It comes fast.
And
There's a
then
lot of leverage in this market. There's a lot. It's very frothy. You're already seeing that in the this week we went from 107 to 92 to 101. That's a 17 to 9% like in 3 days. Like that's why I said 50%, 100% returns aren't nothing here. I mean you'll get cut in half a few times in a year, sometimes.
people are cashing out. It's like remember Luna Classic, and they all bought it at $100, and it went down to like almost nothing. And I bought a big bag, and I think it like went up 25 to 30 times. And then I just took that profit. And I'm not waiting for anything. I just there is good opportunities because I figure it has its own blockchain. It's not gonna go anywhere. I mean, there is crappy utility, but it's like the same as with any other meme coin. Like you take it and you put it in, you see what happens. And yeah,
Sure.
yeah.
Absolutely. So,
Anyways, yeah. It was good to talk to you. I think it was an interesting conversation. Really appreciate you
yeah.
coming on the podcast. Um hopefully we can do this again sometime, maybe in 3 to 6 months. Get together and have a conversation. See where this goes. It's such an interesting times for AI, for crypto, for this whole space.
Yeah. Doing one in June or July after Trump's 100 days and giving the oil industry to correct the oil prices because that's part of
Mm,
energy, that's part of everything. I think it'll be interesting to reconvene and see how far along agents have gotten. I mean, AI is Moore's law squared, so in theory we should be 2 years down the road in 6 months, right?
there you go.
Um, it'll be interesting to see. I'd love that.
Perfect. Well, everybody, this is Jake Tullis, Leading Edge Capital. If you're looking to invest into crypto space, maybe it will be a good idea for you to reach out to him, help you set up with a nice portfolio, And thank you for joining us today, Jake. I really appreciate that.
Thanks for having me. Talk to you guys soon.